have a scraper and you have a cabinet maker's card scraper, you know, it's bigger than that, but you put a burr on it, you can take that and hold it down below center and do a pretty nice job of cleaning up ridges and making torn grain disappear. I wanted to show you guys 3 kinds of scrapers. These are all radius scrapers, but this is the thin one. This is the one that's a little thicker. Can you see that, Ted? And this one here is the one that won't vibrate much. The downside is, you know, they start about $75 and go to $150, I guess. You're paying for all that steel. One of the guys earlier asked me about the inside of the bowl, that he was having trouble with his scraper. And I took this one out and I said, feel this burr. I said, is your burr that good? He said, well, maybe not. You got to have a really good burr, and on some wood, just a few revolutions takes the burr off, so you have to do it again. And if you don't want to grind that expensive steel away, you can take an old screwdriver, the hardest steel you can find, or a valve stem, or a carbide scraper, or a steel burnisher scraper, But you can put another burr on by making a light stroke that's at 90 degrees, and then tilting it a little bit and stroking it 2 or 3 times. So you can renew that burr about 2 or 3 times with this tool instead of grinding. And if you grind the entire, if you make that a straight bevel on there, look how much steel you got to grind. God, that's awful. So I radius the bottom of it, so I don't have to grind as much. Now some people don't like this. They just shudder, but I find that it works very good. If you have a good bevel and you hold it underneath, not quite the right angle. Sometimes I can get shavings doing this. I often do it that way. I need to work more on the bottom side of that rim. It's not very good. And if your shop, if you have all the light on one side, buy some more lights. This really gets difficult when you can't see very well over here. Some of you probably have good eyes. That feels better. I think that would all sand out. But what I want to be real careful of and do a good inspection of is, did I tear the wood someplace? Because if you tore it, you're going to have to go down to 60 grit to start with to get rid of that, all of that damaged wood. It'll be a little bit rougher on 2 sides, because that's just the way it cuts or doesn't cut. With me in one eye, I don't have very good depth perception, so I have to constantly check whether I'm, at the right position, on center or above if I want to be, or whatever. Now, I wonder if I got rid of the black stuff. And if you boil and you don't get that black off, it's hard to sand off too. On the rim of your bowls, slant them outward, slant them inward, make them somewhat rounded, put a bead on it, anything but flat. And your bowls will look better. Anything but flat. When I'm working on this, I go ahead on the inside and I want to get rid of some of that unevenness. That'll just make things easier. Now I can use a pull cut on there too. That's probably rounded enough. When you're first starting out, a block of wood in here and the tailstock holding that bowl is a really good idea. If you're getting catches or something like that, it will save you a lot of times if you use the tailstock as long as you can. You have to turn the flutes so that they're 90 degrees to the tailstock. If you don't, it will skate on you. It'll come back. So you start out with a scraping cut, and as soon as you get a little surface, you see on my right hand I'm turning that? That's when I could use that glove, because God, is that hot. They got a little ridge there that I can start rubbing the bevel on. Get my angle right. Push in. Keep turning. One trick that Ellsworth showed John Anderson and I when we were there is a different kind of a configuration. This angle is a lot more blunt than the one on the Ellsworth. And if you can get it, if you could get it at 87 degrees, it would really be good. But what you can do with that, you will be in constant contact with the bevel as you come to this transition zone right in here. Because with the long grind, that Ellsworth grind on there, you lose contact with the bevel, and that's why you get the ridges and you get the jumpiness and sometimes you get the tearing. And this is more like, this is just the original bowl gouges where I can't drop the handle nearly as much. But even around that curve, now a couple years ago I would have quit, but you know, this is okay. I didn't harm anything really. Scared all of you a little bit. To reverse the bowl, how do we get the tenon off? That's the next problem. So one way of doing it is to just reverse it, get yourself a pad. I went to Joann Fabrics, they had this material, I haven't tried it yet. They used to sell this, it was about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's a rubber, it's real dense, it worked really good. And this is some old placemats that I wanted to try to see if it would work. You've got to find something to keep the chuck from marring your piece. I would go ahead and work on this and get the roundness right on that. Then in order to take this off, I would use a smaller gouge. And one of the things you can do, I don't want to mess this up because I'll give it to somebody, but you can make cuts using the, pretty much the tip. And you can just cut straight in, cut straight in, cut straight in, cut straight in. Then go ahead and cut like this as much as you can. Ellsworth showed us another trick that I think is just fabulous. He took a small gouge and he made an extremely long bevel on it. The bevel's probably ½ an inch long. And you sharpen it with your rotary sander. Turn the sander on, about 320 grit, and it's spinning this way, and you just turn that tool like that. It's got a real sharp point on it. And you can cut almost all the nub or the knob off with that if you keep the bevel running and keep him tight.